smallmouth spinnerbaits. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. Welcome to Delaware Valley Outdoors. Stay tuned, it's going to be interesting.
Delaware Valley Outdoors, your best source for fishing information on TV, radio, and the internet.
It's fall. I'm on the Delaware River. It's one of my favorite times of the year to catch smallmouth bass other than the springtime. And again, I always want to go with a spinnerbait. I like a spinnerbait for a variety of reasons. One, it's a faster bait to use. You can really work the bait, whether you're making it go faster. I'm using a big blade now. This time of year, the water we have is a little bit of stain. We had some rain, and you want that noise element, especially in the situation that we have here. Again, we got colored water. It's not real, not stained muddy wise, but it's got some color to it. And I'm using a white spinnerbait, and it's a white Durstein bait, and it's got a painted blade. A lot of times people have gone away from them, come back into them. I like this. It's actually a painted pearlescent blade, and it's a big Colorado blade. And what I'm doing, it's allowing me to work that bait a little slower, but it's giving me a good thumping with it. Water temperature, mid-50s, excellent time for smallmouth. This is basically October. We're getting into November. We still got plenty of nice weather here, and you should be out in it. Water temperature anywhere, because the fish are going to be active right now. They are feeding up for the winter time, when obviously they're just going to go lay out there and sit in the deeper holes. But with a spinnerbait like this, and I'm using a pretty big spinnerbait, you might see. The bait fish have had all summer to grow, so you got the herring, the shad, and all the other minnows and stuff like that. So they're a little bit bigger. The color, obviously silver, blue, any of those colors will work really well. I just happen to be partial to this pearlescent color with this big Colorado blade. I'm gonna throw back up in there and see if I can catch some more with it. These fish are just, look how fat that fish is. Look how fat that fish is. Look at big belly. He is just full of feed. Again, what I'm doing, there's a bunch of rocks, and I'm just positioning the boat. And I think that's probably one thing I want to talk about a little bit about. Is that I'm positioning the boat so that I'm casting upriver and bringing my bait down with the current. Most fish will be facing towards current upstream, so that whenever it's washing down, they're going to come out and hit. So a lot of times it's harder. A lot of times just parallel with it. But if you want to, get your trolling motor and head upriver against the current and see if you can catch some fish that way. This time of the year, we have a lot of, obviously it's fall, and you got a lot of leaves coming down. We had some rain, you get a little wind, and it really dumps the leaves into the water. So the reason I'm using the spinnerbait is that it really goes through the water quite well. If you're using a crankbait or something like that, you're going to get hung up. Not that a crankbait's not a good idea, and we'll probably use some. But that spinnerbait really comes through the water really nice, and it doesn't catch the leaves. Now sometimes obviously you'll pick up a leaf, but one of the things that it's really nice is that you can throw into the bushes and that kind of stuff, and it basically comes through without catching all the leaves and stuff like that. So you want to really target that kind of stuff. But again, it's just a fall situation where you got all these leaves coming down, and you want to get through. So I just let it pause, drop it down a little bit, and it goes right through the leaves, and then you're pretty much out of harm's way. But again, you're coming through, and you'll pick it up. So crankbait, any kind of topwater bait or something like that with a lot of hooks, it's just too hard. Not that the fish won't hit it, but it's just a lot easier just to work a spinnerbait through all this. This time of the year, And it's almost the same time as spring, in the sense that the fish are going to move up closer to the bank. Now what we have on the Delaware here, up on the upper Delaware, we had some high water, which is just excellent. So it brought the fish closer and it moved them up to the bank. So you have to make your casts really close to the bank, because the fish are just laying there waiting for something to get kicked off. Now I have a white spinnerbait on with a white blade, and what I'm trying to do is imitate the bait fish, because this time of the year you got shad, you got the herring, you got all kinds of the bait fish that are coming down out from the upper river down to go out into the ocean. So this is an excellent color to use. Now we have a little bit of a stained water, so that's why I went with that white blade. I just think it works, and I have a Colorado blade on there, and that gives that a good thump, gives a lot of sound, vibration, which allows the smallmouth to actually key in on it. Now if it was real clear water, you could get away with the silver or silver gold, silver blades like that. But right here we have a little bit of stained water, and I just like it for this time of the year to use that Colorado blade and have it thumping through the water. It seems to attract the fish.
NRA for your free gun-safe educational book at 1-888-4-EAGLE-4. That's 1-888-4-EAGLE-4.
Wild Turkey Woodlands program provides materials. It provides a seed program, also technical assistance through their biologists. The land has been here for eons. It's only mine and my family's for a short period of time. We're the managers and the caretakers of it. That takes into account our way of life and our interest in our hunting heritage. And the Wild Turkey Woodlands program is the greatest conservation habitat development program of any conservation organization in this country.
Mommy, what's wrong?
You can refuse to be a victim, and we can help. Call now about the I Refuse to Be a Victim safety course from the women of the NRA. It's not about guns or joining the NRA. It's about planning your own personal safety strategy. Call now.
The Wild Turkey Woodlands program provides the materials. It provides a seed program, also technical assistance through their biologists. The land has been here for eons. It's only mine and my family's for a short period of time. We're the managers and the caretakers of it. That takes into account our way of life and our interest in our hunting heritage. And the Wild Turkey Woodlands program is the greatest conservation habitat development program of any conservation organization in this country.
You're casting the spinnerbait up against the bank. Your hit is going to come within the first, I'd say first 3 feet of the bank. Otherwise, you can just bring your bait back in. So you don't really have to make long casts. I know we talk about smallmouth and clear water and long casts because they can spook it quite easily. But in this case, we have some stained water, and you really don't have to make real long casts. Just get it close to the bank and reel it. Drop it down. You want to hesitate, pause it, let it helicopter a little bit. Right, reel it and drop it. Reel it, drop it. Bring it down, drop it. If you don't get it within that first 3, I'll say even 4 feet, just bring your bait back in. So you don't have to make real long casts, but you do want to get it right on the bank. Reel it, drop it, reel it, drop it. There you go. Oh, come here, come on. I'm up here. Oh, look how fat this fish is. Again, white spinnerbait up against the rocks, and I'm just bringing it down. I'm not bringing it up very fast, but look how fat that fish is. Woo! Hammered that spinnerbait. Well, he really took that. That's a pretty fish. All right, good, there you go. Oh, that was a nice one. Oh, come here, son. Oh. Yeah. Another fall smallmouth on a spinnerbait. Again, don't put your rod away. This is stuff out there. I know a lot of guys are hunting this time of the year, but you can catch fish like this. Look how fat that fish is. That is just, he is just solid, just solid. Nice color, beautiful fish. October, almost November. Water temperature, don't forget 50, 55 degrees. You just got to almost reverse it as far as, say in the springtime, again, it's that water temperature that you're looking for. These fish are aggressive water temps, 50, 55 degrees. It is a great time to be out here. It's just unbelievable. Fish are aggressive and they're just really healthy, strong fish. So you always want to check your water temperature when you're out here. Anytime you get water temperature in the 50s to 55, 57 degrees, it is perfect time for using these spinnerbaits. Basically what you're doing again, is you're just pitching that spinnerbait up and bringing it back real slow. You're not really ripping it like a summertime pattern. You're just bringing it up, and these fish are just laying up into these rocks. The sun's on us now, it's warming up a little bit, and 1 or 2 degrees makes a big difference for these fish. And again, if I would say anything, afternoons seem to be the better. You got a lot of sun on the water where it warms up. Like I said, 2 degrees make these fish active. They are in a pattern to feed right now. It's fall. Big spinnerbait like this, I put a little grub trailer on it. Give it a little big profile. I like the profile of this bait. Just like it's a little bit bigger, ½ ounce, ¼ ounce. This is a 3/8 ounce Durstein bait. But I tell you what, the key is this pearlescent color. It's great. All right, I'm going to catch some more fish. In the fall, a lot of the bass stage themselves on actually the front side of these points. So what you want to do is really position your boat to get close to these front points and cast directly at this front point. And just bring that bait down because the fish are positioned right up against these points in the front of the point. They're not usually behind the back of the points where you usually expect to find them. Most of the time they're up in the front of these points. We'll be right back with more smallmouth fishing after this.
The Wild Turkey Woodlands program provides the materials. It provides a seed program, also technical assistance through their biologists. The land has been here for eons. It's only mine and my family's for a short period of time. We're the managers and the caretakers of it. That takes into account our way of life and our interest in our hunting heritage. And the Wild Turkey Woodlands program is the greatest conservation habitat development program of any conservation organization in this country.
You can refuse to be a victim, and we can help. Call now about the I Refuse to Be a Victim safety course from the women of the NRA. It's not about guns or joining the NRA. It's about planning your own personal safety strategy. Call now.
The Wild Turkey Woodlands program provides the materials. It provides a seed program, also technical assistance through their biologists. The land has been here for eons. It's only mine and my family's for a short period of time. We're the managers and the caretakers of it. That takes into account our way of life and our interest in our hunting heritage. And the Wild Turkey Woodlands program is the greatest conservation habitat development program of any conservation organization in this country.
NRA for your free gun-safe educational book at 1-888-4-EAGLE-4. That's 1-888-4-EAGLE-4.
One of the things that you want to look for, I had mentioned about pitching your bait up against the rocks. You want to be looking too for the fact that these rocks drop into deeper water. If it's just a bunch of rocks that drop into to a shallow flat, fish aren't going to be up on those flats right now. They're going to be laying in these little depressions, and they're going to move back out into deeper water. So if you can find an area of rocks that drop off into deep water, 6, 8 feet, that's where the fish are going to be, because they'll be able to move up, and then as the water gets a little colder or the day gets colder, something like that, they'll move back down. And as the day gets warmer in the afternoon, like we're talking about now, they'll move back up. But make sure that you find the rocks that have a deep water access in front of them. Really important to do that. We're here with the tackle box section, and it was pretty much of a simple thing we were using today, and that was spinner baits. Now you could use crankbaits or you could use a tube, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but our basic bait that we were using today was a spinner bait. I love to use a spinner bait in the fall for a variety of reasons. One, it's very, very easy to throw. And you have a lot of leaves and stuff going in, whether you're in a lake or a river system. A lot of leaves are falling down, and if you start to try to use a bait with a lot of hooks, like a crankbait or a stick bait, you're going to get hung up and you're going to be pulling leaves all day long. Spinnerbait, rather weedless bait. And the conditions that we have now, a lot of times you have your rain to come in and it'll muddy up the water. Now we had some high water conditions earlier in the week, and the water has stabilized pretty much, but we still had some color to it, or a stain to it a little bit. So we really didn't have to worry about line size. And a lot of people talk about smallmouth, and you have to use light line because it's, you know, the water's not clear. You can get away with, I was using 10-pound test on everything. I like that because you can pull things out, and it's not critical as far as that goes, as far as because of the clear water. It is more critical that you be able to work the baits. The two baits that I used today were a Durstein bait that I like, and the one I'm going to put it here. It's again Colorado blade, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it has a pearl or a white or a pearl finish to it, and I like that because with this water conditions that we have, the fish key in on that sound. And what this does, it gives them a better shot at finding the bait. So I want that bait to be thumping, bump, 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 bump. Willow leaf blades are good, but at this time of the year, I definitely recommend going to a Colorado blade, especially with the water conditions that we have right now. You also have that fall turnover in a lake where the water, it does get a little turbulent, you'd be surprised. So this bait I just recommend, I think it's great. We had a lot of success with it. Now I have one size here, and it's a little smaller. And then I have the bait that I was using a lot today, which has a great big blade on it. I like this blade. You can see it right here at the bottom of it, how much it's been nicked up because I've been throwing it in the rocks. And that's the other thing about throwing a spinnerbait. You're not going to get hung up as much because I was throwing it 99% of the time into rocks, against a rock wall, against rock riprap, anything like that. And so you can just tell that I was really, really mangling this up. I can just go get some paint or just put another blade on it when I'm done here. But that's how you can just see how badly that was nicked up. Again, this bait is a big bait. I want to see the size of that. Really puts a lot of turbulence in the water. Matter of fact, my arms are tired from throwing this thing. It really makes a big wake through it. Again, it's a little heavier, 3/8, and I put a little trailer on it just to give it, I really didn't expect to need it, but it just gave it a little bit of contrast to the bait. You got a lot of crayfish in the water now. It's fall, water temperature low to mid 50s, so the crayfish are this darker color, and so I just gave it a little contrast. Preference, if you feel better, like you don't want to have it on there, don't. I just thought the contrast was good. I caught plenty of fish on this bait today also. Again, I didn't have a trailer hook on, or a trailer on it, again, you feel very comfortable with it. Again, with this bait, we were just throwing it up against the rocks, and 90% of the hits that I got today, or the fish that I caught, were on the fall. So what this bait was doing was when I'd stop it, the top would just helicopter down, and I'll just try to do it like that, and just drop. And when that bait was falling like that, that's when I got the hit. So again, it was only between 1-3 feet off the bank. These fish, again, it's fall, water temperature cool, they're moving up, they're going into the rocks to see if they have any crayfish, bait fish. That's why I like this pearl color. We got a lot of herring, shad, coming down the river, your minnows, that color thing. Same thing, a lot of color to it, and it's got, if you can just see it, I know it's hard to see on camera, but it's got a little bit of a blue tinge to it also, because you get that color off of minnow, and if you've just seen minnows in the water, you'll get that coloration. But again, I'm emphasizing this big blade. It's a fairly big bait. You got a big profile going on here, and you can see that that's not a small bait. Again, I want that big profile because the fish that are going to eat this, they're looking for a bigger bait. They're feeding up. You can see the fish that we caught today, how fat they were. They were just solid. They're packed with minnows. Matter of fact, they were throwing some up, and you can just see that they were just throwing the minnows up. Again, they were just filled with that. Another bait that I just want to mention that you can throw this time of year, and that's just a tube bait. Green pumpkin seed seems to be what color that I like. Again, it mimics a crayfish. So you see that. Again, spinning rod works real well. You just throw it out there, lift it. Now you can, I have this exposed hook, but you can make it weedless if you'd like. I don't, either way, depends on your preference. Again, you can fish this on 8-10 pound test, it doesn't really matter, 1/4 ounce to 1/8 ounce, and it really works well. Again, you're just throwing it up into the rocks and working it down. I didn't use this much today because one of the conditions that you find in the fall is that you're going to get some wind, and it was real difficult at times today with the wind blowing to use a bait like this because you had a big bow in your line, and I didn't want to go to a real heavy weight. So what I did, I started out with my bait casting rod, and again, 7 foot, and I think I got probably 10 pound test on there, so I don't like to go any heavier than that. But again, it's a bass rod, just a nice action rod. You can really horse these big fish out. Now you're talking fish that you could probably get 3, 4, 4.5 pound fish. So you need something with a little bit of backbone. Ultralight rod could be a little difficult. You might lose the fish, but you still can use it. But in the windy condition, it's really hard to cast these things, especially when I was positioning the boat up the river and the wind was coming down. If anybody knows, throwing a bait cast is a little difficult in the wind. So what I did do, I switched to a spinning rod. Works just as good. I like that I can still put the baits where I want it, but yet it was easier for me to cast into the wind. So it's just a little trick. If you're throwing a bait caster and it starts to get windy, especially in the fall like we have now, switch over to a bait caster. Again, I probably got 12 pound, 10 pound test on here, and I had no trouble with what to do. Okay, just remember, fall, spinner baits, rocks, water temperature, 50 degrees. Hey, that's a tackle box. Let's go catch some fish. You know, one of the things that you get into a pattern out here on the water, and one thing that you got to try to remember is start to pick your spots when you're on, I don't care if you're on a lake or a stream or a river, pick your spots. As I'm going down, I'm looking ahead because I'm going to try to maximize my casts, where if I cast to one spot, I could have had a much better opportunity at another piece of rock. So a lot of times I'll wait a couple of minutes just going by to pick out a piece of structure where I feel that I have a better chance to do it. You can always come back and redrift it again. There's no big deal, or you can circle around just in your boat. But try to maximize that, so when you're out, even in a tournament, one thing you gotta look at is what's the best spot to first throw my bait in. So a lot of times when I'm going down here, I'll look at one spot and I'll say, well, this looks like a better spot than the other ones, and I'll cast right in there, and I'll do it. I always can come back and get the other ones, but try to maximize that. Try to look ahead and just don't cast willy-nilly. Look for the best spots. I'll tell you what, you'll put another 2 fish in the boat. Oh, there you go. Come on, there you go. Oh, here you go, watch them jump. Look at these fish. Oh. Another fish. These are just unbelievable. I know I've said it enough times. One thing you got to remember too, Nice chunky fish. Afternoons, let that water warm up. These fish will start to feed. Also, check your slooter tables. A lot of times they'll give you the peak feeding times, and it's pretty accurate, I have to admit. Again, you have your major and minor feeds, but again, in the afternoon, let that water warm up. Again, these are cold-blooded animals. A degree or two makes a whole lot of difference. Again, what I'm doing is I'm just throwing that spinnerbait up against those rocks, bringing it out. It's only about the first 1 or 2 feet, maybe 3 feet. And I'm just bringing it out, letting it drop, bring it out, let it drop, and then I'm bringing it back. That's when the fish are going to come. They're just going to come right up in there and whack it. I'm fishing up against a wall here, a rock wall. And again, this time of the year, and in the spring also, but this time of the year it's critical. The rock wall, it's dark, it holds the heat a little bit, and these fish will move really quite close up to that rock wall. So what you want to do is make sure that your bait gets right on that rock wall. I don't care if a rock wall or a bunch of riprap. A lot of the rock, if it's rock, it's basically going to be there. You're not going to find the fish off the weeds or off of wood right now because they're going to move up into this, so it's just a little bit warmer. So you want to just get your bait right up against any kind of a structure, but make sure it's close. If I can tell you anything, make sure you put it right up on the rocks. Hit the rocks, it ain't going to hurt anything. And bounce it off, and then just get ready because those fish are going to come right off. Right up, as soon as that hits, move it like 2, 3 feet, boom, fish is going to come. There you go. Come here. That's a nice fish. These things are feisty. Look how fat they are. Spinnerbait fish. Fall fishing, Delaware Valley Outdoors. Great time of year to get out here. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. This is Delaware Valley Outdoors. Don't forget to listen to us on the radio, WDVR 89 FM, every Thursday, 5 to 6. We talk about fishing all the time. Don't forget to stop by the website, DelawareValleyOutdoors.com. Hey, I'm Bob Murray. I'll see you on the water. Look good to the fish.